God speaks in brush strokes sometimes. On brick, on bone, on hearts, we forgot the phrase.
I was born between pallets of pain and hope, where grandmama's dry tears in denim and soap. My uncle used to draw sons on the back of eviction notes. Said, child, don't let the world choke the art in your throat. Crayons in the cracks of the church pew floor, while a sermon rang out through the liquor store door. I saw murals rise where they laid chalk lines, and young poets spit truth in graffiti designs. We ain't had much, but we had rhythm and grace. Turned boarded up homes in the gallery space. Some paint with oil, some bleed through the pen. We just try to make beauty where the silence has been.
There's an easel in the alleyway, shadowed and still. It holds the dreams we paint when the world won't heal.
I write scriptures on street signs, sermons on stoops, sling poems like jazz and forbidden loops. Mama hum Nina while folding the sheets, and pop etch portraits with cracked receipts. There's a rhythm in the rust, a verse in the K. I found truth in a sketchbook thrown away. No degree, just instinct to sharpen soul, turning corners of pain into pieces whole. I seen boys trace dreams on the backs of trains, throw tags on pain just to free their chains. This ain't just pain, it's a war cry, quiet and clear, of resistance in color when no one wanted.
There's an easel in the alleyway, shadowed and still. It holds the dreams we paint when the world won't heal.
You don't light a candle in war to see. You light it to remember you're still human.
I bled through the linen, dream stitched with sin. Crooked preachers in the back room baptizing gin. Smoke in my lungs, but the sermon still breathe. Got scripture in the clip if the spirit don't leave. Project rooftop, angels ducking the lead. They scribble in psalms in chalk where the innocent bled. Concrete gospel bullets hummed in a choir. One wrong prayer and the steeple catch fire. Mama lit candles, prayed peace to the block, but the Lord took the stairs and the devil took stock. Now it's AK rhythms and burnt incense. Holy water can't rinse with them graveyard scents. Every shell case like a testimony dropped. Deacons wear hoodies, truth ziplocked. My rosary's a chain, cold metal and grief. Each bead is a body, each prayer's a thief. Gunpowder psalms in a torn King James. Recite murder ballads under government names. Salvation ain't free, they come with a stash. Buried next to a Bible with a serial scratch. Smoke rise slow where the saints once played, and the choir got replaced with the sound of grenades. Still I scribble on the margins of fate, trying to find a verse sharp enough to puncture hate. Gunsmoke gospel, preach with the flame. Psalms on the pavement, echoes why day.
They say the game got no elders, but the blueprint is hitting in the ruins, waiting for hands steady enough to read it.
Crack vaults in my cortex, I spit scrolls. Blueprints buried beneath the weight of lost souls. I dust them off like a mason with memory. Every bar chiseled with pain, that's the pedigree. Corner codes written in blood on loose paper. Lessons from the gods, not a textbook of fakers. See men build empires, then vanish in one breath. Legacy ain't loud, it's that whisper before death. Came from where the rats talk and the bricks sweat, where the young dream in grams and die in debt. I ain't here to entertain, I decode collapse. Every rhyme a repair, every pause a relapse. I follow trends, I follow fate with a blueprint laid by ghosts who spoke in ash and truth. And on floors I forecast, clear with conviction. A prophet with a scar where the mask met friction.
Rough bridge buried deep in the marrow in it. Only real was the code what the world dismissed. Blueprints buried deep in the marrow in it. Only real was the code what the world dismissed.
I analyze angles, blueprint in my mental. Schematics etched in syllables, sharp and essential. I came from the era where pain wrote the lectures, when loyalty bled out, measured in textures. The ink ain't just rhyme, it's revolt in the skies. A template for the youth who see life through lies. I watch thrones rot cause the heirs forgot. What was built on stone can't survive in a plot. This ain't rap, it's architecture in motion. A cipher for soldiers submerged in emotion. Grime on my boots but my spirit stay clean. Blueprint from the block mixed with scholar routines. This that scribble gospel in a prison yard Bible, where silence means death and trust suicidal. I unroll a scroll like a blueprint reborn for the next sun risen in a crown of thorns.
He fed the hungry with his last, and now his name fades in black.
They lit candles on crates where the saint used to preach, spoke gospel in grams, gave a sermon on each, blessed the fiends with a fix and a truth-laced word. Had a 38 Bible and his voice never slurred. From the steps of a tenement, his prayers hit the sky. Told the shorties wear armor when they answer the why. He wore pain like a garment stitched out of dope sacks. Preached peace to the killers while they counted they packs. Whispers call him martyr, some call him myth, but the blood on his palm still testifies he lived. Left scripture on walls in the code, only hustlers get real parables and chalked in the rain made him wet. He ain't die on no cross, but the hood made him holy. His requiem rings raw in a world acting phony.
He walked through fire with no choir behind. Saint of the block left his sermon in grind.
We ain't bury him with gold, just a flannel and grief. But his memory grow roses through the cracks in the street. Used to quote Baldwin with a Marlboro blow. Said freedom ain't a flag, it's the weight that you tow. Taught me silence is a weapon if you swing it with grace. And revenge is a mirror with your own damn face. He was more than a myth, he was Maryland brick. Kept a razor in his Bible and a prayer for the sick. Said the law ain't just legal, be wise. And God don't wear robes, just tears in disguise. He vanished one dust like the last verse of light. Now the kids write his name in their dreams every night. They say legends never die, but they sure do ache. He was the shepherd of wolves and the world built to break.
He walked through fire with no choir behind. Saint of the block left his sermon in grind. Forgive us, Saint, for forgetting your name. Let your requiem blaze in the sound of the rain.
They tried to cut the drums from the dirt, but the heartbeat still sings in the earth.
My pops wore linen and monsoons with sandals. Told me, son, truth is fire with a waxless candle. Old myths in his hands when he flipped the pappadum. Now I break bread with the past when the rap's begun. Gold cufflinks shaped like Ashoka lions. My mind silent but strikes like appliance irons. Nine and nostalgia both warm in the center, where we pray facing east, throw the wars at the center. Temples in my lines, gird warriors in my grammar. Slang got spice like my auntie Sandbar. Even the shadows in my hood know the ragas. We grew where the gods still dream in sagas.
Carry your roots in every rhyme. The sacred lies in rhythm and time.
Yo, from the dirt floors to the burst of the Wally light. My soul's coated in the dark, but it shine right. Brown skin militant, 5 rings in the page. Stories passed down in whispers like a timeless sage. I rep the ink of the ancient, not the fake decor. Scrolls on the wall, war chants behind doors. We ain't struggled for dinner, but still made it gourmet. And wrote scriptures on beats like it's foreplay. My uncle wore to lock, my aunt sang guzzles. Now I spit bars shaped like divine puzzles. I stay rooted even when the leaves blow strange. My history too deep to be rearranged.
Carry your roots in every rhyme. The sacred lies in rhythm and time.
Yeah, I trace my lines back to the spice ports, where the drum spoke truth before courts. Every syllable a script from my ancestors' scroll. I spit Kalidasa with a Brooklyn soul. Threads in my garments stitched with mantra. I channel my forebears, fire through tantra. Even my slang got turmeric in the tone. It heals when it hits like I'm speaking from a throne. Rhodey in my lunchbox, truth in my breath. Woke up in the west, but I'm armed with the deaf. They label it exotic, I just call it mine. From Sanskrit to slang, the design divine.
Range flowers doing ultimated chalk. Something up, praise loudest when the bullets start.
Yeah, I lit candles with hands that been stained with weight. Told God I was sorry, but I showed up late. Mama wept in a soup, broth thick with grief. While I studied the blade tucked beneath my seat. The church bell cracked, but we still showed love with a 22 tucked where I kept my gloves. Street scriptures scribbled on my shoebox lids. That's where I buried all my unborn kids. Tried to tithe in grams, thought he'd understand that I flipped out of hunger not to be the man. And if he sees all, then he's seen me cry, writing psalms on receipts when my best friend died.
Ashes on the altar, prayers in the street, even holy water got blood at its feet.
I gave confessions to the liquor store clerk. He said, hurt don't sleep, but just learn to smirk. Used to dream of heaven in a polo coat. Now it's R.I.P. shirts and cigarette smoke. Ain't no psalms for a corner boy's fate. We quote dead rappers and medicate late. My sins wear boots and stomp through my dreams. And the Lord don't answer when the clips scream. Cross around my neck, been pawned 4 times. Every time I sin, I wrote cleaning rhymes. Told my shorty don't pray, just plan you escape. Cause the angels look down, but don't intervene late.
Ashes on the altar, prayers in the street, even holy water got blood at his feet. Beneath every hymn is a hollowed out plea. Ashes keep purring, will I walk perseverely? Beneath the grind, oppressive vibes, worn hands still dreaming fire. Beneath the grind, oppressive vibes, worn hands still dreaming fire.
She mops in silence till her fingers scream. Then walks home slow, stepping through steam. Clock 16 hours, no applause, no crown. But she still hums hymns on the Greyhound downtown. Crack heels, coupon dreams in her purse. Wears hope like armor, even when it hurts. Her son sketch rhymes on the back of receipts. Wants to climb from the cold with cassette tape beats. No savior came, so she taught her math. In the kitchen lit dim with a gospel path. The stove broke, the roof leaks when it rains. But love strong enough to baptize the stains.
We walk through smoke with pockets torn, still sing like morning just been born.
He stacks crates at dawn, back bent like truth. Each lift a stanza from forgotten youth. A poet with blisters and warehouse sweat, but he rhymed to the rhythm, the sun ain't set. Antique sell mangles where the rent too steep. Recites Nina Simone while the baby sleep. Ain't no Netflix here, just bootlegs and saints. Every crack in the wall hold a painter's complaint. They ain't broke, just broke open and bled. Wrote stories in steam from the rice and bread. Quality's song, in the shadows they shine. They breath carry wisdom, no textbook to find.
We walk through smoke with pockets torn, still sing like morning just been born.
No pulpit, no robe, no claim to fame. Still they carve halos in every name.
They don't see cry when we cover the grave, but these walls got stories we needed to say.
He ghost tags bridges before the sunrise, dodging train lights, mask on, so wise. A can in his grip, prophecy in his stroke. No gallery wanted him, so the brick wall spoke. Ink drip memories of a cousin in chalk. Outline wings on concrete, the city don't talk. They call it defaced, but he call it rebirth. A mural of hope, spraying pain in the work. Sirens scream past, but he don't flinch. This is Sistine, done from the chain link. He seen bullets paint walls, red with grief. Now he blend blue blue skies on the overpass reef. The brush got caught in the lawman's snare, but color still dances in midnight air. The brush got caught in the lawman's snare, but color still dances in midnight air. Mega tagged his brother's name behind the precinct, right where they laid him, justice extinct. He sketched dubs on dumpsters, halos on hydrants, each piece protest, though silent and vibrant. His mother cried when she saw the train roll, his son's alias sliding past in gold. No commission, no patrons, no press, just street lights and a paint-stained vest. Every wall's a canvas they said he can't use, but he wrote poems in pigment, blues for the abused. And when he died, the whole block knew, cause the city looked brighter in shades of his truth. The brush got caught in the lawman's snare, but color still dances in midnight air. The brush got caught in the lawman's snare, but color still dances in midnight air.
They erased his name atop this frame. The cults and rustlers are leading game. They erased his name, not his flame. The wall stoops was what he became.
The holy water burned my skin. Guess I was born with too much sin.
They dipped me in that basin, said I'll come out clean, but I rose up seeing visions they ain't never seen. My uncle smoked scriptures, my aunt prayed crack. I learned hallelujahs don't bring no daddy back. Mama wore white to court, not to church, crying while a bailiff left a soul in a lurch. These preachers shake hands with devils in silk. Bless the blood money, drink guilt like milk. Baptized in a city where the righteous get robbed, and the choir sings murder over corn on the cob. Still I spit psalms in alleys with wine-soaked floors. My gospel ain't clean, it crawls and roars.
They pour their lies in holy streams. Weed now I drown when down is someone I do.
Came out the womb already condemned. Soul on parole from a generational lens. Bible on my nightstand, gun in my lap. Hope got shot the night faith took a nap. I heard choirs and gunshots, verses and screams, and angels caught strays in government schemes. The priest sold dope, the mayor kissed rings, and they both say grace while the jailhouse sings. My baptism burned like gasoline flame. They said it's purification, I call it shame. So I write these hymns for the hollow and broke, for the kid at the altar with a barbed wire yoke.
They pour their lies in holy streams. They pour their lies in holy steady in your pace. If my fire makes your water boil, then bless me, Lord, and got a sword.
Painting dreams on crumbled stone. Truth survives where lies are grown.
Cracked ceilings and pipe leaks, that's where I write my thesis. Scripture on the margins of bills and court releases. My art ain't gallery bound, it breathe on block walls. Graffiti souls from corners where angels forgot to call. Fatherhood taught me patience, the streets taught me pace. Now I lace my son's lessons with wisdom I used to waste. They took jazz from the alley, turned it into gold, but we still hum Coltrane when the night turns cold. A poet with prison letters and love in his veins, still sketches Sistine stories in the shelter of rain. Brush strokes on broken walls, we paint with pain and pride. Even in the ruins, our colors never die.
I seen mules cry tears when the painter got shot, and a child picked the brush up where his uncle had dropped. Legacies whisper in the winter tenements, truth buried deep where the rent money went. My pen drips sepia stained by brownstone truths, sipping on time while the corner store youth. Dreaming mixtapes, vinyl crack cassettes. We etch God in verses when memory forgets. A son's first sketch on the wall with crayons. Feel like a prayer in a world that prays on.
Where the shadows meet the saints, I still hear the lost complaints.
I was raised with a gutter saying, like stained glass choirs, dirt on my soul, but my dreams caught fire. Old heads whisper tales of the crown and the wire. Kids pitch hope like it's ounces they hire. They prayed in basements, scriptures on the ceiling. Mama's rosary wrapped tight round her feelings. Past midnight, gun smoke kissed the steeple, while grandma cooked sermons for the crippled and feeble. Each step a parable, I walk like an omen, caught outlines drawn like a prophet's foretoken. Knowledge tucked in the cup of a North Face coat, still quote Sun Tzu over buttered rye toast.
Where the sins are cold and deep, we blend grace so it may read.
Time ain't linear, where I write my scrolls. It bends like a spoon in a war of souls. I seen angels in hoodies and devils in robes, both sipping tea on them Harlem roads. A child cried wisdom beneath a cracked statue. His tears carved hymns in the brick like tattoos. Legends ain't buried, they walk in disguise. And bodegas, they barter with prophetic eyes. I wrote this with a pen from a dying librarian whose silence told stories of an aged barbarian. He said truth ain't a mirror, it's a maze of glass. You bleed when you pass, but you see it last.
When the dust has claimed the street, God still moves through aching feet.
In the rust of the world, I found melodies missing, notes that slept in the cracks of old prisons. My uncle taught chess with a blade on his ankle. His night moved silent, but his pain was ample. The priest spoke code in a subway confession. Said even devils sometimes teach a lesson. Kids swap dreams for a nickel of escape, trading fate for a flicker behind a fire escape. I don't rap, I revive ancient lost scriptures. Spray murals with verbs and invisible fixtures. I ain't trying to be king, I'm the man with the torch, lighting path for the souls at the empire scorch.
Light don't flinch in winds of sin, it waits for us to walk within. If you win on to one thing, child, wait be, mine worst seems loud. They say the greatest quiet are still hung with names we whisper and vows we run from.
Hey yo, the ghost of Raheem still talks in my hall. His voice crackle like static on a prison call. Used to grip 38s with a quiet boy's hands. Now we haunt dice games and half-burnt grams. I see murals fade when the weather shift. His face peels slow like the lies we live. The preacher walked past with his head down low. Said a prayer for the block, then dipped real slow. I carry 3 deaths in my leather coat. 2 homies, 1 child, all dreams I wrote. Still hear the sirens like bedtime songs where the lullaby's wrong and the night's too long.
These graves stay open under streetlight breath. No shovel can hide unresolved death.
Every coffin I seen got my DNA. Every loss got a verse I still can't say. I kiss the past through chain link fences. Love buried deep in state-bought trenches. They don't mourn us right, just balloons and teas. Our obituaries drown in summer's disease. I remember when Black got shot on Lennox. I held his last verse, no gimmicks. He said, Mag, make him feel it when I'm ash and wind. So I write each line like I owe him 10. No organ in church hit like guilt and dreams. And no choir out shouts what silence screams.
No gun can preach like a mother's cry. No crown can shine like a tear-stained sky.
They used to call me Lil Preacher with a crooked halo, spitting psalms in a cipher so lit like clay bowls. Back in grandmama's kitchen, smelled of cornbread and pain, and every prayer over grits tried to cleanse the bloodstains. Pops wore silence like a second skin, worked 3 jobs, still lost to the bottle within. But he told me, son, keep your name clean as linen. So I spit with a purpose like the prophets in prison. A hood saint with scuffed Timbs and scriptures in rhyme. I found heaven in ciphers and hell in my mind. Taught the shorties how to break chains with verses, build temples in the trap, flip curses to purses.
Gold teeth don't hide the hurt, the gospel cleans the dirt.
My cousin used to boost kicks and dip through alleys. Now he leads food drives in the Brooklyn valleys. We all change, but scars stay like street signs, marking where we failed and rose in God's design. Seen preachers fall, seen gangsters rise, but the truth sits quiet behind most eyes. I ain't holy, I'm human, built from lost in hymns with a vinyl heart and cassette tape sins. Each bar is a sermon and concrete verse. Still praying for the homies in that iron church. Told them life ain't a gamble when you learn the math. Subtract the hate and multiply the path.
OT from rotten word. High schools means a good. Found teeth don't hide the hurt, but gospel cleans the dirt. We were born to break the curse, singing truth, not just a verse.
The best way to disappear is to never exist in the first place.
Step 1, never use your name in ink. Alias stitched in the glitch that blink. Erase that face from the glass and grid. Villain move swift like sins never did. Step 2, unlearn the map they drew. Cities ain't streets, they traps in view. He walk with signal dies and small, where dogs don't bark and truth stay far. Step 3, speak less, mask stay tight. Every word a weapon, every tone invite. Burn birth dates, kill the trail. Even ghosts know silence, don't fail. Step 4, cut all loops and logs. That watchtower tech got teeth like guards, so he carry his thoughts in ciphered flow, tucked in a notebook from years ago. Step 5, memories are leaked, so plug it. Cut ties clean, no cause, just snub it. Villain sip tea in the rain, no trace. Only thing left, that ink in space. Final rule, never seek applause. Disappear so deep, even deep hit pause. Legacy ain't loud, it hums and cold, like footprints made before roads are road.
To the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure.
You met him in an alley with a fedora dipped low. Breath cold as the ink in the villain's flow. Said, you ain't early, I just came prepared. Death chuckle, lit smoke in polluted air. Spare me the riddle, Varv grin through steel. Life's a bad bargain and death's the deal. Reaper said cute, most run of prey, but this one rhymes like he came to stay. Vaughn replied, I write where your shadow leans. Syllables sharper than guillotine dreams. You tally names, I scramble fate. They fear your grip, I annotate. You bleed in ink, I bleed in ends. You kill in silence, I kill with pens. I knock once, they bow low. I don't answer, I just flow. You spit with pride, but your clock still ticks. Every rhyme you drop just builds my bricks. Vaughn leaned back, let the moment melt. Said, even you need stories felt. You feed on fear, I sell a cure. Where you bring absence, I'll make them pure. I speak in scars and alleyway codes, in chalk lines shaped like forgotten notes. Death grinned wide, ash fell from his sleeve. You stole well, but no one leaves. Even legends rot when the record fades. Var wrote bars in the air like blades. I ain't here to die, just to document. Your silence speaks, mine pays rent. So write me off, but before I'm ash, know I made kids laugh in a world this brash. I end the breath, I end the verse, but I gave a minds to rehearse. I own the void, I own the noise. Well.
Woke in the maze where the floorboards breathe. Truth wear chains while the liars leave. Dust in the lungs from the crawl space silence. Ink in the page like a blueprint of violence. No
Hey ho, where did you go? Did you wriggle or roll? Did you giggle or grumble? Tom Thumb, from where did you come? Did you toddle or run? Did you skip, jump or stumble? Go down, let's go down, let's go down. Don't you wanna go down and wriggle on? Have a sing along, put some pickles on, and play the mellotron. Go down, let's go down, let's go down. Don't you wanna come down and wriggle on? Count to 21 and go and right a wrong and feed the pelicans. Say that a some pickles on, and play the mellotron. Go down, let's go down, let's go down. Don't you wanna come down? Count to 21 and go and right or wrong and feed the pelicans. But where will we go when the ballet tolls for me? But you and I know when it tolls, well, it tolls for thee. But where will we go when the ballet tolls for me? Both you and I know when it tolls, well, it tolls for thee. Go down, let's go down, let's go down. Don't you wanna go down? Have a sing along, put some pickles on, and play the mellotron. Go down, let's go down, let's go down. Don't you wanna come down? Count to 21, go and right or wrong, and feed the pelicans. Does the swallow dream of flying as it sleeps on the wing? Does it long for the summer as it flies home for spring? Does Daisy feel a sadness at the last rays of sun? Does the wind feel a gladness at the work that it's done? I won't go making mountains out of molehills anymore. I won't go chasing windmills round in circles anymore. I won't go preaching sermons to the choir. What's it for? I won't go through the motions anymore. Does the river ever wonder what will come round the bend?
No face seen when the lockpick sings, just one flash blink and the
Tombstone brands. This ain't about peace.
question was asked, is there a place for passion in our lives?
Well, the result is what it is, and the thing is what it is. You don't have to say lovely or not lovely. It's just change. It's a new moment. After that, each moment leads into a new moment. There's just karmic unfolding of these things unfolding. And you can be more or less identified with the process of that which changes, which are the passions, the evolution, the creativity, the horror, the stuff. That's all the storyline of life. And the question is, what is your relationship to it? Is that you? Or is it something you are dancing through? Where are you? Is there a you in this? Or a set of phenomena? I'll tell you, well, it's great, but the reason you use division is to get free of having been stuck in one place. Once you're free of that, then you can be like you and have it all together.
The question was asked, I'm a lawyer. How can I be an effective legal adversary, going head to head with people in the courtroom, and yet keep my heart?
Intensive, give me a while, any trip. Mesdames et messieurs, sortis de nos ateliers, cette petite féerie nous revient à 3 999 francs. Nous vous l'abandonnons à 4 000.
My brothers don't die, we just rusty bark. I tell your girl to link me at the coffee shop. Getting freaky in the sheets, we're taking body shots.
is this? Chat.
Heart open.
Having passed through the 60s, where I saw all of us.
He says, I'm not going to fight. And he throws down his bow and arrow. And Krishna, who you were singing to, is that particular form of God at that particular yuga or time period. Krishna is serving as Arjuna's chariot. And he says to Arjuna, you really have to fight, but don't get upset because it has nothing to do with what you think you're doing anyway. And Arjuna says, look, I'm not going to fight. Krishna says, I'm doing it all anyway. You're not doing it. You're just playing your part. Now, you can listen to this story thus far metaphorically, or actually, it's actually a battle and he's being told to go out and kill the enemy. Or you can hear it metaphorically as the enemy are all the parts of oneself that one has to slay in order to become one with God. And some of them are one's old friends. Like when Don Juan says in the Castaneda books, you have no family, if you're going to be free, you have no family, no history, no nation, no identity, no, and you say, oh, do I want to give up all that? I had a moment in Burma a few years ago where I went for 3 months of meditation. And at the end of 2 months, I got a telegram that my stepmother was about to be operated on for cancer. I think I've talked about this, maybe even in Houston. And I got the telegram that said she's going to be operated on in 5 days. And she was taking care of my elderly father. And when I got this message, it really called me home to help take care of the situation. So I went to my teacher, my meditation master, and I showed him the telegram. And through the translator, he said in Burmese, he said, "I don't think you should go." And I was startled. Not go? He said, "You're doing very good inner work now. If you leave now, you're right at a critical moment. You could do incredible work." He said, "If you do the work now, you will be able to help many people get free from suffering. If you rush home now, you'll just help 1 or 2 people get free of suffering." But it was my stepmother, it was my father, and it was my karma. And he understood that. And he said, "If you were from Burma, I wouldn't let you go home. But you're not from this culture, so you go." And it scared me when he presented me with that option of completely having given up all of my history and my family and everything for my spiritual path. In India, the sadhus, they have a funeral ceremony when they decide to become sadhus, and they become dead to the family. And it's a contract in which I've taken the holy life, I'm leaving home, and that's it. I'm not part of this family anymore. That's okay. That's within the karmic domain. It's culturally defined. But I'm a Jewish boy from Boston, and when my parents are sick, you go home. You cook soup, you do whatever you do. And it was wonderful that I did just what I did. It was just the right thing to do. I mean, intuitively, it felt just right. So at any rate, Krishna is saying to Arjuna, you've got to do this thing. You've got to fight, even though there are good people on the other side, even there are old familiar things on the other side. And Arjuna says, I won't do it. And Krishna says, look, I'll show you how it is. And then Krishna touches the third eye of Arjuna in the 11th chapter. And Arjuna sees the universe the way it is. He sees another reality. He sees Krishna in his vast forms. And he sees all the armies crushing into Krishna's mouth, hitting against his teeth, just going in. And he realizes that he's just a little teeny part of a huge story. Krishna says, think not that you are doing it. Realize this is all being done by me. All you have to do is do your dharma. Do what is appropriate to you in this life. Now that context serves to take you out of the context you're in. It took Arjuna out of the context that he was a warrior in a war. So that technique of using the mind through studying other takes of reality, other paradigms, other metaphors, other ways of looking at what is. Like the image, as the Buddhist story of the image of how many times you've reincarnated, of the mountain 6 miles long and 6 miles wide and 6 miles high, and every 100 years a bird flies over the mountain with a silk scarf in its beak, and it runs the scarf over the mountain once every 100 years. In the length of time it would take for the scarf to wear away the mountain. That's how long you've been doing this. Now, what does that do to your sense of, boy, this is life? I mean, you know how many times you've said that? Millions and millions and millions of times. You're like those little bugs that are born in the morning and die in the evening, and around noon they say, boy, this is life. You see how the contextual frame just shifts your consciousness? That's a specific spiritual technique. That's part of Jnana Yoga. Now, there's another part of Jnana Yoga that combines with what's known as Dhyan Yoga, which is meditation. See, in Dhyan Yoga, there are two components of dhyana, or meditation yoga. Yoga meaning yoke, or coming into union with the one. These are techniques, practices. In Dhyan Yoga, you can have concentration, bringing the mind to one point, following the breath, walking meditation, whatever, candle flame. Then there is a component of what's called mindfulness, just being aware of what is. Now, in practicing mindful meditation, there are really two stages that, at least they are for me. When you are in life and are not awakened, and somebody goes, "Rrr," you go, "Rrr." Or if they go, "Rrr," you go, "Rrr." You become reactive. You're reactive to things all the time. Stimulus, response. It's actually stimulus, concept, reaction to concept, response. And it's built in. To everything you have a response. And you're like a mechanical phenomenon happening. Somebody says, "I'm sick," and you say, "Oh." Like a couple of years ago, last year, I had broken my Achilles tendon, so for a whole tour, I was on crutches. And I'd come into a lecture hall, and people would be concerned, and I'd get up here and I'd say, and I knew exactly what was going to happen because of the predictability of the reaction. I'd say to everybody, "I broke my Achilles tendon," and you could hear going through the audience, "Oh." And then I'd say, "Playing tennis," and they go, "Oh." And then I'd say, "In France," and they go, "Oh." It's like, you deserve it, playing tennis in France. What do you mean doing that? An old, And it was predictable. I could do it every night, and it always worked. I always got the oh, ah. Yeah. Now, what one begins to notice is that always present, along with all of your thinking mind and senses and reactivity and so on, there is a tiny part of yourself that is not involved at all, that's just noticing. And it's called the witness. Uspensky talks about it in Search of the Miraculous, in the book In Search of the Miraculous. It's a part of the mind that you use to observe the rest of the mind. You witness stuff. So instead of "I'm depressed," it's "there's depression." Hear the distinction? The "I'm depressed" is the part of you that's identifying with the depression. Then there's this other part that's witnessing that whole thing. Like here you are sitting here with whatever state you're in. Now just witness it. Like if you're feeling curious, instead of being curious, just note curiosity. If you're feeling agitated, instead of being agitated, note agitation. Find the place in you that's just watching the phenomenon. If you're sitting, instead of sitting, note sitting. Find the part of the mind, and often it's just out of 100%, it's 1%, and the other 99 thinks it's all real. Like I've been working with this woman who just died this week, and she would, when I'd visit her in the hospital, sometimes the pain would be quite intense, and she would be in great pain, and I'd look into her eyes, and I'd say, "Is there any part of you that isn't in pain?" And she'd look and she'd find it. And I'd say, "Now, notice the pain from there." And she'd become quite peaceful. It worked. She would come into the part of her mind that was noticing the rest. She was identifying with the witness rather than with the experiencer of pain. That witness starts out, as I say, as about 1%, and you forget it very quickly. Anything will make you forget it. You decide you're going to do the exercise of cultivating the witness. In the Uspensky book, it describes Uspensky as deciding he's going to be the witness. So he's describing Uspensky's walking down the street. Uspensky is turning into Wienerstrasse. Uspensky's walking down Wienerstrasse. And then he sees his tobacconist's shop. And he remembers he needs pipe tobacco. And about 2 days later, he remembers he was doing the experiment. It's like, Uspensky's walking out, oh, I need tobacco. Good morning, how are you? What's up, you know? And it was gone completely. But when you want to extricate yourself from the reactivity of your own mind, the art is to put something in between the input and the response. And it's only a little teeny thing, and it's like a ram, or it's like a moment of witnessing, or it's a moment of breath, or it's a moment of emptiness. It's something you intervene between one thought and the next thought, and then one thought is a reactive thought. So it becomes thought, which could be stimulus coming in, thought, which is reaction going out. But instead of those two being linked, they're broken by this place. So if you ask me a question, you may notice often I just sit for a moment. At that moment, I go empty. It's not like I'm thinking, what will I answer? I'm not thinking. And then I'm trusting that whatever happens next, I will trust. It'll come out of a deeper truth. When you can cultivate your ability to respond rather than react, that's what you're attempting to do, to learn how to respond rather than react. And that quiet moment, that mindful moment, that witness, when you stand back and just see how things are, you just see how things are. You're not busy reacting to them, you just see how things are. Like I'd watch people walk into her room. She was 41 and she was dying of AIDS. And she had hundreds of friends, and they all kept coming and visiting and family. And I watched people come in, and her physical condition was such that they would react. You could feel them wince, or feel pain, or try to look happy, or say something. As you cultivate the witness, which at first, as I say, is 1%, it keeps building until it gets up so that as you start to wince, you see yourself wincing, and the wincing is a device of keeping the suffering at a distance. Pity, for example, is a device for keeping pain at a distance. Oh, isn't that too bad? Is a way of separating myself from it. We have an interesting thing, like if you get a bad toothache, you'll immediately separate the tooth from you. It's that tooth. The tooth was us until it started to be a nuisance. Then it became that tooth. Yeah. That child. I don't know what we're going to do with that child. What do you mean, that child? I'm your child. You're that child. We tend to deal with pain and suffering by putting a distance between us and it. And that's a reaction. And that reaction makes everything weird from then on. Everything's off balance after that. The question then is, can you cultivate a part of you which can just look at the universe the way it is without any reaction at all? The feeling you react from is your own identification with your somebodyness, and therefore your empathy with their somebodyness. Like as this woman was approaching death this week, a blood clot broke off her catheter in her chest, and it went into the vein that fed her lung, and she couldn't stop coughing. She was coughing and gagging and coughing and gagging, and it went on for about 20, 30 minutes while I was there. And I could feel myself screaming with empathic pain. You know how when somebody coughs, you get that thing in your throat, or when somebody sneezes, you sneeze, or they yawn, you want to yawn? And I was just like, we gotta. And I watched how this one, which was a new one for me, this immense amount of pain and stuff she was going through. She couldn't stop coughing and gagging, and coughing and gagging. And I watched myself get caught in that one, get caught in my own identification with that which was choking, and therefore my own reactivity to it. And she had asked me to help her stay conscious through the process of death. And therefore, she and I had been organizing the level of the morphine drip and the amount of painkiller that would knock her out. And I knew what the critical amount was that would put her out of her consciousness, put her into a drug-dazed state. And I couldn't stand her coughing. So I ordered her to give more of it, more painkiller, and she went into that drug-dazed state, and then she died. Now, there's no right and wrong in that. There's just the phenomena that my empathy for her pain as a separate human being was so strong, I lost the balance of seeing the whole thing and the spaciousness and being with her and saying, it's just coughing and choking, and here we are. Because it wasn't just coughing, it's coughing and choking. Now, I'm giving you an extreme example, and most of you are saying, what is he talking about? Of course, if somebody's coughing. But I've had other moments, like with a woman who had cancer of the pelvic cancer. And she was writhing in pain. And I came to visit her, and she and her doctor had worked out she wanted very little medication, and she was excruciating. She was writhing on the bed. And I sat there, and there was nothing to do. I was not in the role of being able to do anything. So I just sat there, and I meditated on her decaying body. I did a Buddhist meditation. And I got quieter and quieter and deeper until the whole room turned purple. And I was floating. And all the time, her body in the late afternoon was silhouette, was writhing in pain. And this writhing body turned to me, and she had been turned away, and she turned and she said, I wouldn't be any place else in the universe but here at this moment. She said, I am perfectly content. And all the time, her body was writhing. But she wasn't writhing. It's the same thing when you go into a dream state or come in a normal waking consciousness. And when you're in the dream, isn't the Italian dinner that's not sitting well in your stomach still around? But you're not busy having indigestion because you're dreaming something else. Once you understand that the play of the mind is such, then you see what your price is, which one grabs you and brings you into this plane of reality and catches you fully. And the art is to be in the world and not of the world, to be both in it and not of it. And when you lose it into this is real, you lost it. And if you lose it into this is not real, you lost it. So you use the witness, which just notices how it is and open to how it is, including the suffering, until you can say, choking. And the other part of you is screaming. See, what's required, and this is so interesting, and it's so hard to comprehend. Once you understand where you're going, you can see how you're getting there, because it's all processed to get you there. You'll see that at one level of reality, because you and I are more than one plane of reality. You are both human and you're more than human. You're divine, or you're something. I don't know what to call it. But there's part of you that has a human heart, and when you see somebody else in pain, you suffer like hell and it hurts, and your heart breaks. And all your reactivity is at that plane where you're guarding that thing. There's another part of you which is just looking at the universe without the decision, since your little mind doesn't know why it all is the way it is. So you're not sitting judging it, you're just appreciating it. So there's the higher consciousness, the intuitive wisdom that is just looking at the universe as it is, and then there's the heart that's breaking. There was a time when my heart was breaking over incredible suffering that was going on in eastern Pakistan, when Pakistan split. And I was with my guru, and I was very, very troubled by it. And he said to me, Ram Dass, don't you see it's all perfect? I said, no, I don't. He said, don't you see it's all perfect? And yet he would cry over it. Can you imagine that somebody could cry over it and still know that it's perfect? That it could all be terrible, and yet you don't sit and say, hey, God, you really screwed up. If I were doing it, I would have done it different. Because you don't even know why it's done the way it is. You don't know. You don't know why a child dies young. You don't know. You don't know why one person has this life and one person has that. You don't know. There's a mystery in it. You don't know. So why do you have to judge it if you don't know? So I'm faced with the dilemma of having these two parts of myself. My human heart is doing what it can to relieve your suffering, and my higher wisdom is just watching the whole show. And because that higher wisdom exists, I don't burn out in the lower part of me, because my life isn't linear. I'm not just somebody relieving your suffering. I'm somebody enjoying the whole process, including my desire to relieve your suffering, including your suffering. It's just stuff happening. It's the unfolding of the universe. I was just with Thomas Berry, this beautiful, deep ecologist father, Catholic father. Incredible man. And he said, the earth and all of us, this is the revelation. This is the revelation. It's not that the book is the revelation. That was the early revelation. The revelation now is this. This is it. Are you celebrating the revelation? How do you celebrate the revelation? Is just what you're experiencing at this moment, if your body is tired or whatever you're feeling at this moment, is that the revelation or it's not? I could hear the revelation if I were only, how about this? How about the revelation being just what is? It's the monk who, when the girl in the village gets pregnant and she accuses, and she's hiding, covering for the fishermen, so she says it was the monk up in the hill. So when the baby's born, they take the baby up and they knock at the gate, and the monk comes and they say, it's your baby, you raise it. Surprised the monk, he says, so. Takes the baby and closes the gate. 9 years later, the girl is dying, and she doesn't want to die without confessing, and she says it wasn't the monk, it was the fisherman that impregnated her. So the villagers all go up and they knock at the gate, and the monk comes with a 9-year-old kid, and they say, it isn't your child, we'll now help raise it. And he says, so. Can you do that? Is there a part of you that can so your way through life? I mean, try it when it gets interesting. Sorry to tell you, you have cancer. So. Your bank just failed. So. You just won $1 million. So. We highly respect you. So. You are the stupidest, most irresponsible person I've ever met. So. Can you just appreciate the phenomena of life without reacting? Or allow the moment between the input and the response to just be with it. Be with what is. Be with what is. With full acknowledgement of what is. Full allowing. It's interesting that you go out in the woods and you really appreciate trees. If it's a gnarled oak, you say, a gnarled oak. If it's a scrawny pine, you say, a scrawny pine. But look what happens when you look at human. You don't say, a real neurotic. Wow, a pathological liar. I haven't seen one of those in years. My goodness, a real child abuser. What fascinating. See, I'm pushing the edge now. Watch, see? See, I know how to get you. I know how to get you. Now, I don't mean that you let the child abuser abuse children. I'm not, but you're so busy being righteous that you're not even here. You're busy in reactive mode, so you're not even hearing what is. Slow down a little bit and just appreciate what is, and then make a response. Your response will be much more what Aikido and Judo teach, how to make a response that uses the situation absolutely appropriately to bring about a deeper harmony in the universe. So for this, you cultivate, I'll finish the sequence in a second and then take the question. For this, you cultivate the witness, the part of you that is just noticing what is. The later stage of that process that takes you into the transcendent state, none of that's transcended yet. That's all horizontal. It's using one part of the mind to observe the other part of it. Then the final stage of that is through meditation, you get quiet enough so the witness witnesses itself. You witness the witness witnessing. And if the mind is disciplined enough, instead of an infinite regression, it flips through and you go into what's called choiceless awareness, which is an altered state of consciousness, which is the base it's like the sky against which the clouds of thought are coming and going. It's the ground. It's who you are when you finish being who you think you are. It's choiceless awareness. It's presence. It's the samadhi state. And then you're not witnessing anymore because you're not knowing it as object. You are just being everything in absolute quietness. And then out of that comes action. So these are all stages of using the mind to get into the mind, to see through it, to get yourself free of identification with it, in order to go into choiceless awareness, or spaciousness. Use context, shift context, use the witness. And to the extent that you can work with suffering, most of your life is fear motivated to protect you as a separate entity, and it's designed to avoid the presence of suffering, which is threatening to you, and to avoid the potential of death, which is your own annihilation. And when you can look suffering in the eye and death in the eye, you're free. And you can do that the minute you find that part of you which is not suffering and does not die. Then you've got a balance for that part of you which does suffer and does die. Then you have something to offer other people. Then you become a healer. Because you heal people out of the illusion that their suffering is the only reality.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah. H-Mac, get it loose with the music. Whether it be amplified or acoustic, shine like star delivering bars. I can make your head nod with an acoustic guitar. Come on, think you on the same level, y'all should try again. Acoustic instruments like the violin. They be saying Mac is crazy, we ain't never getting bored of bruh, cause he's like a one-man orchestra. I'ma kick the hype is facts, my vocals are acoustic, so let's hold a mic to that. Standing up prouder, crushing rappers in the powder. Got the microphone to make it louder, blast it through the speakers, y'all getting consumed. I'm in the studio with prime acoustics in my room, yeah. And every time I'm finished rapping, leave the beat bent. Before I rhyme, had to set up the acoustic treatment. Yo, my lyrics too astounding to y'all. Without the padding, my vocal tone would bounce off the wall, yeah. And that's something I just couldn't really let go. Gotta sound clean, dry vocals with no echo, yeah. Y'all know that I leave them amazed. Let's add some reverb, turn the acoustics to like a cave, yeah. I drop a verse like I'm in a massive church. Throughout the whole cathedral, my lyrics will disperse. I stand at edge of Grand Canyon and I let it echo, echo, echo. Got the mic up in my palm, I never let go, let go, let go. Matter of fact, the acoustics, they be enhanced, hands. Every time I'm rhyming, I'ma make you dance, dance, dance. H-Mac, they can't take my mic away. I be rocking for the homie while he's puffing on the J. Yeah, every time I'm rhyming, man, my lyrics are on point. My vocals is about to get you higher than the joint. Yeah, H-Mac, I'm about to make it happen. I do more harm. I'm a work of art, just like the tattoo on your forearm. H-Mac, man, I'm breaking down the notion, smooth as lotion. He be in the Hawaiian shirt, keep it open. I be swinging like your necklace. People, they expect this. Known across the planet, cause my lyrics are infectious. Yeah, every time I grab the mic, I'm here.